let's see how tolerant your Western mindset is, and if it can tolerate maybe a little bit of Eastern ideas. There's a book that I have people read early on um, called The Tao of Pooh, spelled T-A-O. Tao of Pooh, as in Winnie the Pooh, P-O-O-H. And it's by Benjamin Hoff, and it's a very short little book. It's a cute little book, but he introduces some basic tenets of Taoism. And Taoism has a rap of being passive, and that's not untrue, but it's not, the goal isn't to be passive. The goal is to not fight. The goal is to flow with the energy. And when you're flowing with all the energy of the universe, it's not very passive. I mean, you got tons of energy. And the idea of Taoism is not necessarily to just let yourself get pushed around by the energy, but to actively seek the flow of the energy and follow it. Fall in line with it. And that's a totally different. So in Western minds, people reject Taoism and this go with the flow mentality, and I do, and did, and still struggle. But remember, we can have both. We don't have to choose one or the other for any situation. We can use whichever's best for that situation. And sometimes it's better to go with the energy than to fight the energy. And sometimes I think, it's better to stand your ground and dig in. But but in this case, if that's all you know how to do is fight, 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 then you can never access these Eastern ideas of going with that energy and using your energy to add to the energy that's already going that way. And then, boy, you got a lot of energy that way, more than you could ever come up with on your own fighting. So, this. I'm going to throw an idea out at you. So I've mentioned the book that you probably should read. Benjamin Hoff wrote a book called The Tao of Pooh. It's super short and it's super easy to read, and he makes it funny, but he introduces some concepts, and one of those concepts is to not try so damn hard. Instead of making everything happen, and believe me, I know I'm a goal setter, I'm a go-getter. I like to make things happen. I like to exercise my will on my environment and make my world. But it's not always the right answer. And sometimes it doesn't work at all. And so if you have some more tools in your toolbox, so I always introduce this to people, and inevitably, in a very short period of time, we come across something, either in training or in their diet or in their life, where it makes more sense to go with it and add and summate your energy into the energy that's already going that way than it is to dig in your heels and try to stop the universe, because man, that's a tall order. And so there's I've been rewarded by showing these people this book, and then we'll be discussing something, and it'll click in their mind that maybe I shouldn't try so hard. Maybe I should try less. Now that is not a Western thought. Trying less. And I'm a big guy that always says try harder, try harder, try harder. You're not trying hard enough. And that's usually the problem. At least it is for me in the Western world I live in. But it's not always the problem. Sometimes the problem is I'm trying too damn hard. I'm getting in my own way. And if you can recognize that, and you have a tool, you have a strategy, you have another way to go about things by trying less, using a Taoistic idea of trying by not trying. Try less. Let things happen. Don't make them happen. If you are positioned well, and so the Zen Buddhist way of thinking about this is, if you're doing things right, if you're thinking right, if you're speaking right, if your heart is right, if you're taking right actions, if you're aligned right, with things, then you don't have to do much because you're already in line with the rightness of things. And so Taoism sort of brushes up against that. They're very different ideas, but they have similarities. Sometimes it's best for us if we've done all the right things, if we're in a good place with our training and our body and our health and our attitude, and things are still not working for us, sometimes it's better if we just let it happen. And we don't have to do everything. We don't have to always be in control. If we have positioned ourselves well, and we're doing the right things, and we're thinking the right way, and we're behaving the right way, and our heart is right, and our attitudes are right, maybe we are the problem. Maybe we're trying to make things go a certain way. That's not the way they're supposed to go. Now, supposed to go, not supposed to go, destiny, that's a lot to talk about. But think about your own life, and is there ever a time where you have said, you know what, I'm just going to let this happen. I'm going to sit back, and I've done my work. I'm in the right place. I'm going to take a deep breath and let my hands off the wheel for a second and see where this goes. If you're like me, you spent a good deal of your life with never having said that. So I'll introduce you to this book and this Taoistic thought of trying less. Not trying harder, trying less. Let things happen. Don't make them happen. And I know that sounds like you can't have a goal that way, right? Because I have to set my goal and then I've got to work to get it. And there's another person that I listen to, Esther, and she always talks about how in the Western mind we think that anything worth having is upstream. It's going to be hard to get. And so we put our canoe in the river and we face it upstream and we paddle like crazy against the current. And she says, what if we got in the canoe and headed downstream? Aren't there good things downstream too? And she's talking about this other way of viewing things sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you want to go upstream. Sometimes what you want is hard to get and you got to paddle like crazy. But is that true about absolutely everything in life? Wouldn't it be nice to have another technique? Wouldn't it be nice to have another way of seeing things on occasion? Maybe more frequently than you think. More frequently than I thought, that's for sure. And to just go with the flow and follow the energy. Let the energy lead you to where it's going already. That might be a good place to end up too. So if you're not tolerant to that idea and you're like, no way am I just going to sit back and let things happen. It's not sitting back and doing nothing. Remember, you're adding your energy to the flow. You're finding the flow. You're seeking the flow of the energy, and then you're going with the flow. You're not just doing zero. And I think that's what bothered me about it. I didn't quite understand it completely at first. I thought you just had to do nothing and let your whole life happen to you. And I wasn't up for that at all. That's not what this is. So you need to read the book. I won't do as good a job explaining it as you will when you read it, as he will when you read him. And he's just giving you the very, very lightest duty, junior varsity version, so that you can swallow it. But if you want to pursue it, there's a lot more to this. And it's valuable. And you shouldn't throw it away immediately. You should look into it and put it in your head, and I'll bet one day it occurs to you, hey, wait, this might be an opportunity to not try so damn hard all the time. This might be one of those opportunities where if I find the flow and I'm doing the right things and I put myself in line with the flow, I can get where I want to go easier with less effort. Maybe not. Perhaps not for you. I resisted this for a very long time, probably 5 years. I knew about it and I talked about it, but I didn't really absorb it. And I didn't really apply it. Just superficially. But the opportunities kept coming where it would pop into my mind. This might be a good time to use that. Trying less. Letting things flow. Now, it doesn't work if you're not in the right place. If you're not doing good in life, you're not doing right, you're probably not going to have success with this. So it's predicated on some things. You got to live right first. And if you are living right, that energy that's around you is going somewhere. And you don't have to fight it all the time. Think about it. And if you'd like to pursue it, read the book. And I'll bet that just like me, if you're anything like me, you'll resist it a lot. It'll rub you the wrong way a little bit. But remember, if you keep an open mind and you know about the technique, you don't have to use the technique. So learn it. Understand this trying less. Understand what it really means. And then if by chance an opportunity presents itself, you'll be ready. And once you use it once successfully, you'll be on the lookout for those opportunities. Because it's not as hard as digging in your heels and paddling upstream and everything. Going with the flow of the universe and the energy that's out there and aligning yourself to it rather than trying to align the whole world to your way is a lot easier. A lot easier. And sometimes it's just as rewarding. Maybe sometimes not. But I've found it has been quite a bit. Quite a bit. So I'll pass that idea on to you. And I hope you read the book. And I hope you find use for that. But if not, you're out nothing. Just by knowing about it, you can always not use it. And if you use it just once, successfully, isn't that worth knowing about it? I don't know, but I think so. So thank you for listening.